Hi everybody, Larry Sigel with Iowa School Finance Information Services. Welcome to the demonstration of our advanced mapping tool, our FactMap tool. You can just go to our main ISFIS website at www.isfis.net and select the advanced mapping tool from the pull-down menu, the Finance and Training pull-down menu. And that'll bring you into our advanced mapping tool, and you just basically click in the blue box where it says click here to enter. And your map will appear. This map, it's going to have this help animation indicated over the top of it, and this help animation will go off as soon as you select anywhere. So just click anywhere on the map, and you can see the screen is arranged with the state of Iowa as the main outline map. And there are basic functionality is to select a category of data, and we've developed this category. So we've got enrollment, which includes certified enrollment, which is just row 7, which is your budget enrollment. We've got our certified enrollment detail. We've got our enrollment by grade, and we've got special ed counts and weightings. And those are enrollment factors. We've got our demographic factors, which are going to be free and reduced percentages, race, number of students, race, percentage of students, a limited English proficiency status. We have property valuations and property tax rates over a number of years. We have some financial indicators for your unspent authorized budget. We've calculated the unspent authorized budget percentage, and that's the percent surplus budget spending authority at the conclusion of the fiscal year. We've got your solvency ratio. Your solvency ratio is your percentage ending fund balance at the conclusion of a fiscal year. And we've also got some regular program district cost historical information. We've taken some data out of the Certified Annual Report for fiscal year 2012 for your general fund expenditures and broken those out into a number of categories, including student services, and you can see what you spend for all the components of student services, which can include your instruction, your attendance social work services, guidance services, etc. Your administrative services, which are going to include your things like your Board of Education services, executive administration services, etc., operations and transportation, some miscellaneous areas, and then your total expenditures on a per student basis. We've got some sales tax information. We've got some annual sales tax distributions and monthly sales tax distributions just as kind of benchmark data. We've got a sample of some salary info that we've got in here. This is your fiscal 2012 beds salary staffing data. We put in some academic info as well. We've got your math proficiency and your reading proficiency, and also historical graduation requirements, and then also some special ed finance info. At this point, it'd be important for me to note to you that this data is all in a beta format currently, and we're still in testing mode. But we want to get it out in the field just as quickly as possible, and so we're going to take you on a basic tour of how to use the FactMaps.net website. First of all, the first thing you can always do is select your category, and for this one, let's just pick the certified enrollment. And we're going to have some basic areas of the map that yield information. You've got the ability to expand. This is going to give you a full screen graph, so I'm going to go ahead and click that, and that would show a full screen graph. I can currently show the bar graph as it exists. We can show a horizontal bar chart. Show a line graph, and now that is only going to work when we have something that's over time. We'll show you that in a second. We have to select an individual component. You can also show a vertical bubble chart, and you can show a scatter plot, and we'll get back to that in a second as far as the amount of information that you can do with that. So your two selections criteria, you can select it either from this box or the same information is populated over here. And then you can also select what your bubble size, for example, in this case is going to be. And we could, for example, select what our bubble size is going to be is certified enrollment. And then that would give you yielding sizes. So now you can go and you can select this graph and make it larger if you want, make it smaller, make it disappear entirely. We're going to keep it like it is right now. So it yields both information both on the map as well. Other things that you can do once you've got a variable selected is you're going to see this slider bar here down at the bottom of the screen. You're going to see it has fiscal 1997 through fiscal 2014. And that's the amount of data, number of years this data is available for. So we're going to just click play. And that's going to take you back to the original year. And this is going to show you what happened to enrollment over time. And you can stop it at any time you want by just clicking on the slider or by the square button, the stop button right here. You can also manually advance it and manually roll it back as well by using the arrow buttons that are on either side of those fiscal years, and I'll show you that right now. If I wanted to just look at one particular year, I could just click back 2 years, and that gives me fiscal 2012's data. Other things that you can do for basic map stuff, you can select if you just want to look at what districts, in this case, might be greater than 1400, just hover over the color in the legend, and it'll tell you which district it is. You also have the ability to change either the minimums or the maximums. And let's say instead of looking at, you only want to look at schools greater than 1400, let's say we want to look at them greater than 1600. Click OK. Then now we'll only display those schools greater than 1600. Likewise, you can lower the minimum and say, let's say we want to look at districts that are 400 or less. So the user has a lot of control over this. Not only that, but if you click on the one of the legend entries, you also have the ability to increase the number or decrease the number of entries for any given time. You can also change the color scheme. So instead of going to blue, let's go to red. And so you can completely customize it however you want. Now, the one thing about those settings, it will lose those settings every time you close out of a browser, but it is very, very flexible. You also have the ability in any map to find out data about an individual district just by hovering over that district. So we can just hover and find out information. We can also select and make comparable groups, and when we look at things over time, simply by clicking on those groups. So let's just select a few school districts. And they don't have to be geographically next to each other. You could pick them if you wanted by athletic conference. And then if you create a custom selection up here by hitting this green checkbox, it's just going to show those districts. Now, there aren't any labels on these. Now, you can hover over them, see what they are. But you can also select all by hitting the red checkbox or check mark, and it will list those. And now we can show just those districts over time. And so these are the relative enrollments over time. I can stop it at any time. And you're not going to see much variation in this, obviously, because enrollment, there we see some variation. But it's a great way to look at time series data. Now, in mentioning time series data, and I did mention that earlier, we also have in the chart the ability to show time series data by just selecting the fourth entry, which says Select Time Series Graph. And then to make it a little more meaningful, let's make the chart a little bigger. And so you can look at then that same data over time, or hover over it. You can also select off. Let's say we don't want to see one of these. We can select off an individual district, and then they don't appear any longer. Always add them back in. So this gives you a great way to access time series data in a really easy format that is really helpful. Down here, there's some functionality on the bottom half of the screen. You can switch to full screen mode. Now you can click show or hide. There are a lot of things in here that you can turn on or turn off. It gives you the ability to do that, to turn off graphs and indicators and those kind of things. We've set it up where we think it's going to make most sense to you, but you can go in and play around with these things. If you don't like the results, just close your browser out, start up a new one, and you're good to go. You also have the ability to export the data. So any of the data that you're looking at now, you can export. It just basically downloads into a format that you can download through your IndexL. You can create proportional symbol maps. Now these don't work as well for data that is on an area basis, like a school district. Works better for point data like cities and representations of those, but you can create a proportional symbol map as well. You can also just look at a data table if you just want to pull up the data table. And we happen to be show the most recent year, but you can click up here, show all the years for just those districts, and then just sort them. If you want to sort them, for example, in rank order, you can do it that way. So this really gives you a lot of flexibility in the way to both present data and utilize it. One of the other things that we can do is we can look at two variables by each other. So one of the things that you can always do is select a bookmark here, which is that little star. Select your bookmark, and then that's going to bookmark that data. And so if I want to go look at something else, maybe look at property tax rates, come over here, and let's look at total property tax rate. So we could look just for those districts. But let's say I always want to kind of flip back and remind myself what happened with enrollment. It's always right there. So it's like a favorite if you want to think about it that way. But what's really cool is that you can also look at two variables, as I mentioned, by each other. So why don't we do this? Why don't we look at the total property tax rate, make that our favorite, look at our property valuations, look at our per pupil net property value right here. And then what you do is you're going to come up here and you're going to create what is called a scatter plot map. And I said that's one I said we were going to view in a minute. But we can select that scatter plot map, and that's going to make a full screen map. And it's going to show the variables between each other. On the vertical axis, we've got your per pupil net property value. On your on your horizontal axis, you got your total property tax rate. And as you can see, that is your valuations related to your total property tax rate, or let's even look at some other variables. For example, we look at our net property value, our per pupil TIF value, and is there a relationship between those? Doesn't seem to be much in this one. And so really gives you the ability to generate a lot of data, look at it, see how the two variables interrelate with each other, and it's just a really neat way of doing that. Now, when you do have this up here, because it's a scatter plot, it's not going to allow you to resize it. So to turn the scatter plot off, all you have to do is just either show a column chart or any other formatted chart that'll just select then this primary variable. And there we go. And then you have this one, if you, for example, want to look at the total property tax rate, that's the bookmarker's favorite. You can close and turn that bookmark off, and away you go. I hope this has given you just a little bit in the basic functionality of our FactMaps application. We're really excited about it. As always, if you've got feedback or concerns or questions, please don't hesitate to give me a call. My name is Larry Sigel. I'm with Iowa School Finance Information Services. Thanks and have a great day. Take care.